ChatGPT projects are one of the best features inside of ChatGPT and one of the most underrated features inside of ChatGPT, and they recently became available to all users. So in this deep dive video, I'm going to show you step by step, first what projects are and how they work, why they're different from regular chats inside of ChatGPT, and how you could use them for real tasks with real practical examples. And at the end, I'll share some advanced tricks and a few settings too that are hidden that most people overlook. Okay, let's jump into ChatGPT. And again, this is available to all accounts. So even in the free account, you'll see it and you'll see GPTs. So these are different. I've covered these in different videos, but projects work in a different way. So I'll go ahead and show you by creating a new project here, and your existing project will show here. And then if you have more, you could see them here. I'll start with a new one. So first, what are projects exactly and how are they different? Well, projects keep chat files and your instructions in one place for a very specific task. So you use them for ongoing work and you keep adding to them. Now, they're a little bit different if you've used custom GPTs because those are meant to just be created for one specific repeatable task. Projects are kind of a living thing. You want to keep adding to them. You want to keep customizing them. And I usually create a project, let's say for investing, and I always come back to that project. So it has a long history of everything I've talked about related to that one topic. Now, there is a really important key settings that came out not too long ago right over here. So I'm going to click on this, which also makes projects very unique and really powerful in this way. So memory, the default option says project can access memories from outside of chat. So it could look into your regular ChatGPT memory, which ChatGPT has. But this one is the one I like, and it recently came out. Projects can only access its own memories, and memories are hidden from outside of chat. Now, this is key. The project now is self-contained, and it won't go find irrelevant things that you might have had in your memory in previous chats and things like that. So the next thing after we change the setting is we want to name the project. So for this example, I'll do a practical example for me. So YouTube channel manager. And then over here, you could pick any type of icons for that, or just pick a color if you don't see anything that's relevant. Okay, so inside of each project, when you're setting it up, there are multiple things that you can set up. So I'll talk about that, and then I'll show you practical examples on how to set each one. The very first one is right over here, is you could add files. Now here you could add all kinds of documents, PDFs, code files, images, all kinds of things could become then your knowledge base. Then the project can refer to those things. Very powerful, but not always necessary, because sometimes maybe you just want a project to keep the memory self-contained and you don't have to use any knowledge base for that. Typically, I use a little bit of everything, so I'll show you this in a second. Now, the next thing you have is if you press the plus sign, you still have access to ways to add files and bring in things from Google Drive. That is different than your knowledge base though. This is if you wanted to interact with one or multiple different files, but still pull the information from your knowledge base so it knows how to interact with things. And you still have all these other tools inside of projects, which makes it really powerful. So you could do deep research, create images. It can search the web if you wanted to search the web. Sometimes you may not want that and keep it self-contained, but all these are available. So the third thing you have besides the tools and the knowledge base is up here, you have custom instructions. So I'm going to click on this. And these instructions, if you've used ChatGPT, they have it at the account level of ChatGPT. These have been around, but having one specific to a project makes a big difference, right? It's not using the broad ChatGPT instructions. You could get it to focus on a specific topic if you have a large project base, change the tone, the response format. So a lot of options, which I'm going to show you in a second. And towards the end of the video, I'll show you some options for sharing the projects as well. So for this very first example, I'm actually going to start with the custom instructions. That's typically what I like to do when I create these projects and tell it exactly what I want. So I give it a goal. I wanted to plan my next 4 video uploads. Then I told it the type of format I want. So I said, keep this under 5 bullet points. I told it the type of tone I want, keep it in a casual tone. And I told it to ask for more information if I'm not clear in my initial prompt and it needs more information. So that you could put here. So typically what I like to use in these prompts, which I call system prompts, because it's not the prompt you're giving to the chatbot. It's a prompt you're using to describe to the chatbot how you want it to work. I like to add a goal. I like to add a format so it knows how to respond to me. And I like to typically change the tone and be very specific about the type of tone that I want. So I'll go ahead and save this for now. And for the second part of this project, I'm going to create a knowledge base for this, but I usually like to start with the instructions, and then I could tweak the instructions if I wanted to interact with my knowledge base in a very specific way. So I'll go ahead and add this. Now, for this project, what makes sense? Well, I could give it the different titles of my recent YouTube videos or my best performing YouTube videos. I could give it the transcript for the videos so it knows how to behave. I could also just use regular ChatGPT to create a document for me to then use as my knowledge base. So after a bunch of back and forth with ChatGPT on what makes a good YouTube video, I could then take that and add that over here too. Now I'll give you one example. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to research what makes a great YouTube video and create a full report. And I like to do that with deep research. So by the way, this is on a new tab and I'm just using regular ChatGPT, and I'm gonna take the output from that and use it as my knowledge base. So I'll go ahead and send this out. If you haven't used these type of deep research before, it typically starts with asking you a question. And then once you answer it, it will take about 10 minutes or so and search sometimes hundreds of websites and give you something really practical. Okay, the deep research is done and these are downloadable. You could just download it as a Word doc, for example, and they're gonna have a ton of information here. And I typically like to edit these a little bit. I do like to go through them because with the projects, you want the best source of knowledge, not just a lot of knowledge. You could just use a web search for that. This will give you a very clear source of knowledge that you could, again, trim or edit as you see fit. So in the project files, I gave it the thumbnails, I gave it my transcription or the script for a video, and I also gave it that deep research to know all the different things I'm looking for. Now, as far as how many files, they do change that depending on your plan. So the free plan is only limited to 5. And the paid plans go from 20 to 40 depending on what plan you have for the files. But again, I wouldn't load this up with a ton of files. Typically 5 might be enough and you can make those large documents like I did with that deep research. Now let me show you some examples how to interact with this project. And I do have other projects in different categories that you'll see coming up where I could dive a lot deeper and get a lot more advanced with our prompts and things like that. But right now I'm gonna say based on my YouTube analytics, which is one of the files I uploaded here in the knowledge base, find the top 3 themes based on the past titles. Now, I've made over 200 different AI videos just on this channel, right? So for me to figure out what's going on there is difficult. This is telling me when I make AI tool breakdowns, if I compare different things, it does well. And when I show practical applications for AI for entrepreneurs, for example, it also does well. I could just use ChatGPT to analyze that document, but remember, now this conversation has this memory. I could build on it and I never have to upload a new document to analyze. This is now always part of this project. So anytime I have a question about my YouTube channel, as I build out this project, it's just going to get better and better. Now with the next prompt, it's gonna take everything that I have in this project's knowledge base and the system instruction. Draft me a 30-day content calendar, 2 videos per week, include working titles, hook ideas, key assets needed, simple table with columns with status. Okay, how about that? It gave me a week-by-week breakdown, 2 videos per week. I got a working title, hook ideas. Again, I could use ChatGPT to build on those here or use this project specifically to build on those titles, on those hooks. It's in this training, it's in the knowledge base. I could have all the key assets here prepared that is telling me to prepare. I could then export this to, let's say, a Google Sheet, for example, and then just update the status and even share it with my team, right? And I did that in about 10 minutes. Now, both projects and ChatGPT generally are only as good as your prompt. If your prompt is vague, your output is gonna be vague, right? That's why I wanted to share a free guide with you from HubSpot called Advanced ChatGPT Prompt Engineering. It's a practical playbook that walks you through the key prompting frameworks, role assignments, and real before and after examples so you can consistently get clear, high-quality results from ChatGPT. Here's a quick example I'll show you. Here's a weak prompt that says, write a sales email about our new software. The strong version of that they give an example of is, you are an experienced B2B sales copywriter. Write an email about our new inventory tool for operation managers, highlight time savings, error reduction, and save iterations. Keep it professional, but conversational. And here's my favorite section called the Roses framework that explains exactly how to craft these type of prompts. It's a 5-step formula that includes role, objective, scenario, expected solution, and desired outcome. And there are a lot of different examples on how this prompt structure actually works in practice. So I'll put a link in the description where you could download this guide completely for free. And thank you for HubSpot for sponsoring this video and making these type of resources available to my audience. Okay, let's go to our next project. First, I want to show you how this memory of projects works. So I went to a project that I haven't actually used for a while. I think I haven't used it in a couple months. But in a conversation I had inside of this, which all the previous conversations show up underneath like this, so you can jump into any conversation that you had with that project and you could see that conversation. So in one of those conversations, the projects gave me an answer. So I'm going to ask the same question. It's not in my knowledge base and it's also not in my instructions. So the only way it has that information is based on previous conversations. And here's the answer. And the answer was 50 sources with the free plan and 300 with the paid plan. And he got that because we had that conversation before. That is the memory that is contained in that chat rather than getting this information from some other place. And this actually helps it not make as many mistakes and hallucinate as much, right? It's contained with this memory. A lot of the issues with hallucination, beyond just a problem with hallucination in general, where these AI models do make up problems, that doesn't fully make that go away. But with projects, it does really reduce the chances because it won't go look elsewhere and it will only look through your documents. Okay, for this next example, I'm working on a course called AI Marketing. It's about a 46 or so page script that I give it. And that's the only source I need because that's what I'm going to interact with. And over here, I want to show you how to use these different tools here because a lot of it, when you combine it with this project, makes this one of the most powerful things inside of ChatGPT. So the one I really like is right over here and it's called Canvas. I use this one all the time. So I'll show you one example here. Create an interactive quiz for my AI marketing course, which this has. Okay, and after a couple back and forth here, I got myself a completely interactive quiz. Again, without me really doing anything but ask it to make a quiz. It has all the information in my knowledge base in this project to be able to pull that. Even decided to add a hint over here. And again, you could refine this at any time. And you could create a public link from this and share it. So in my case, I might want to share it, or you could just copy the code and actually embed it on a website if you're more technical. So all that is available inside of this project with the Canvas tool. Now, the next thing I wanted to show you is I wanted to create an image here. So I'll show you the image creation tool and I'm going to continue the same chat. So you can see up here, I'm still inside of that project. I don't need to start new chats and it's going to retain all this information here. I want to create a thumbnail. I want clean background, one big subject line, short text, and this will just help me ideate. Sometimes they're actually good enough to use, but most of the times they're just going to give me some options and then I could ask for follow-ups. Now, here's the first attempt at it. I don't think it's bad at all. It's very clean. I asked for it to be really clean, simple background, and then I could either revise it by asking for a follow-up, or I could take this in an existing design in Canva, for example. Okay, now for the next tool, I want to show you the web search tool. And here's a practical way I actually do use these projects myself. I might be inside of this project working on this course, but then I'm going to go back to my YouTube manager and I'm going to have a follow-up prompt here. I'm going to go ahead and press the plus sign. I'm going to ask for the web search. What's the new sponsorship change coming to YouTube? They actually announced something, but I didn't really look into it. And I want that to be part of my projects, right? These are going to be living documents. You want to keep updating them all the time. You don't want to treat these as isolated chat. Now, this was related to dynamic brand integration. You could actually pretty soon, if you do have a YouTube channel, change out the brand sponsor later, just like how podcasts work. So now this is part of the memory of this project because I had that chat inside of the project. That's the whole point of these projects. They don't have web search all the time by default. It becomes an additional tool because most of the times you don't want it to go search the web. You want the information and the knowledge to be contained to this project based on what you already hand selected. Now, the next thing I wanted to show you is anytime you're having a conversation with ChatGPT. So this time I'm just on a new tab inside of regular ChatGPT and I'm going to ask it about new rules related to AI generated content. Now, because this question is going to require search, ChatGPT just knows how to do that. This doesn't require me to turn on any tool inside of regular ChatGPT, only inside of projects. It gave me this information here, right? So instead of copy and pasting any part of this information to add it to my project, well, I could just press the three dots and you could add to projects from here and your recent projects will show up over here. Or you could create new projects from a chat. So let's say you had a long chat already, something you were researching, then you watched my video and you decided, well, it makes sense to have that as a project. I'm going to keep coming back to it. So I'm going to create one from here. But in this case, I'm going to move it to an existing one over here. Now, a couple other ones I do use from time to time. You could click this and dictate to it. So you just speak to ChatGPT and they always have this voice mode where you could have a back and forth conversation. I love this in the mobile app where you could just talk to ChatGPT with his natural voice. Very, very useful option. So do try these out as well. Now let's start a new project. I want to show you an actual practical workflow for combining projects with deep research in a different way. So here's how it's going to work. We're going to create a new project and we're going to call this one AI Market Researcher. Now I'm going to go up here. I'm going to add instructions and I'm going to actually dive a little bit deeper on how these instructions work. Again, I started with the role, act as my research assistant, cite your sources. The tone is calm and ask for a clarifying question. But let me show you something that you could do with these. I'm going to copy and paste this one into a custom GPT. I've created this one called Custom Instruction Generator. So this has been around for a while, but I do still use this one. It's really easy to use. You can technically do the same type of thing inside of ChatGPT, but I'm going to go ahead and start a chat with this one. I'll link this in the description. This is just a free GPT. Now with this one, the instruction I just pasted from the other one. It was simple and it gives me something a lot more refined and with more details. So I could actually copy and paste this one right here and I could save it. Now, the basic ones do just fine. This just really expands on that. So if you're new to prompting, especially with these type of instructions that are behind the scenes, this is one way you could go ahead and do that. Again, you could ask ChatGPT to flush out your prompts too in a regular chat. I like that custom GPT. It's just a simple copy and paste and it's just on my sidebar over here. Now, I'm going to press the plus sign. I'm going to turn on web search and I'll start with kind of a warm-up question just to see what the sources are. What are the top challenges entrepreneurs face when it comes to adapting AI this year? And this is going to just do a regular search for me. So that's going to be my very first step to create this project with the right information. And you could see it gave me all kinds of different sources. So I could just glance and see if there is something reputable there. I'm going to read through this, see if it makes sense. It gave me 10 options over here plus some, right? And your sources are always going to be available on the left panel with any search that you could click on. Now, this is already going to be part of the memory of this project. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to turn off search. I'll press the plus sign and I'll go ahead and turn on deep research and I'll ask a question to really dive in how I started this conversation. Now, here's my prompt for that. Research report top use cases for AI in small business only. Rank them by ease of implementation, impact, and cost, and include a table and a summary. Now, this is going to use deep research. And if you haven't used this option before, you could use deep research in combination with your existing files too, inside of projects. So if you want to pull in any previous research, let's say from Dropbox or from your Gmail, Google Drive, all that is available here and you could connect more resources and pull those in, right? That makes it really powerful. It's going to be inside of a project with deep research plus your own files. It's going to be far more useful than anything that's been available before this came out. Now, for this last example, let's put all the pieces together. Everything we learned about prompting it with how to work with knowledge bases, some tools, and I want to show you a real example here. So we're going to do a product launch. So I'm going to call this our launch plan. And I'm going to make sure this actually has the default option because I want this to know my previous conversation inside of ChatGPT. In this case, I don't need the project only. This is going to know everything that it can, including everything in my memory of ChatGPT. And this time I used my prompt generator, so it really flushed out what I want. And the role is a product manager for launching a new app. And it basically told it all kinds of different things that it needs to know as the instruction. Again, I did not type this out. I started with a 2-sentence prompt the generator, the custom instruction generator, flush that out for me. Now I got 3 different documents, and this is for an AI tool to help small businesses put together a marketing plan. This is the Launch Essential PDF, again with the help of ChatGPT. I got a brand guideline and I got a press kit over here. So with that, my knowledge base is where I need it to be. And now I'm going to ask for it to build me a 4-week launch plan based on all the information it has. It doesn't need to go search the web for me, but it will, and in some cases, look in previous memories of my entire ChatGPT account because I did decide to set it up that way. Now it's pulling directly from my sources. It's telling me what the step is. I didn't give it any specific names of our designer and developer, but it is breaking that down based on roles. Now, the next part is I do want to share this in an easier, cleaner way. So I will turn on Canvas. Now, previously we created an app with Canvas, a quiz app. Now, this time I'm just going to create a 1-page version of exactly what it put here, but in Canvas mode because it's a lot cleaner to download. Let me show you the result. So Canvas mode typically is designed not just for creating little mini apps or websites. You could also use it as a writing assistant. This is actually how it first came out, and it only has the parts I want. You see that? There's no extra text from ChatGPT, and I could go ahead and edit this. So this is fully editable, really easy to edit this using text, or they have all these editing options here on the left side. And when I'm happy with it, I'm just going to go ahead and press download over here and get my PDF. And there is my launch plan that I'm going to go ahead and email, right? So that's the first stage in this. Now let's go to stage number 2. In the same conversation in stage 2, I'm going to go to my marketing plan. So I'm going to write a 4-part email sequence for this launch. And I told it what emails I want for each. And I said, use the brand voice, which is one of the documents I gave it. And he gave me the subject line, the email copy here. So I got all my 4 emails, the CTA. And again, he used my brand guidelines, which has my emails very short, very to the point, and with very high likelihood of getting clicked with different subject lines here. And I could flush that out. But let me go to stage 3, which is now, let's put this out there, not to my email list, but on our social channels. Now, I asked for 10 shorts for Instagram, for LinkedIn, and Facebook. I asked for a strong hook, 1 benefit, and clear CTA. Again, a lot of this is based on my knowledge base, right? So in a regular ChatGPT, you're not going to get results as good because this has a pretty good knowledge base to start. Now, he gave me 10. He did follow the hook, the benefit, the CTA, and I might want to follow up and say, actually keep them different. I want something that's specific for LinkedIn in this way and something else for Instagram. I just wanted to show you, you can try to use just this one set for all social platforms that are somewhat similar, but I do recommend you try to change it up a little bit. Let's go to the next stage here. So I'm going to turn on web search, and there is something that I did not know yet, and it's not part of my knowledge base. So let's say I'm new in this product category. So I'm going to ask it, what are the current trends in this product category and what claims should I avoid, right? Now, I specifically didn't do a deep research here, so I am using the search to add to its memory and to what I'm talking about inside of this project. And I do want to see on the bottom here the different sources just to dive a little bit deeper and find reputable things inside of things like Forbes. But I did create this table for me on things to avoid or things I should actually focus on with a nice summary at the end as well. And I'll go ahead and switch this again to Canvas here so I could get something to share with my team. 5 bullet points in a nice format. And I'm going to go ahead and download that from here. Now, I just want to talk quickly about limits. So you can create unlimited projects, but the file upload, especially for your knowledge base, depends on what tier you have. So remember, 5 files per project with the free tier, which was not available for a very long time. The project feature was a paid feature. If you have the plus plan or the education plan, you could go up to 25. And if you have the pro plan or the enterprise plan, it's a 40 file per project limit. And if you hit your limit on those, you could remove old files or split your work into separate projects. Projects are really meant to be about a specific topic, so you don't want to overload a project with multiple different things typically. Now, let me talk about sharing projects. So right on top, inside of each project, you'll see a share option. So let me click this. And sharing at the moment I'm recording this video is a little bit limited. So it's only really available in the business and enterprise plans. So the old Teams plan is going to have this sharing option where you could search 4 people. And if they're in your team here, they could go ahead and interact with it. You could let them chat or edit the project. But if you have the free plan or if you have the plus plan, sharing is not yet available. And there is no way to make these publicly available like you could do with custom GPTs, or share them publicly like you could do with a regular chat project. So keep that in mind. If you are going to use this, you will need the business plan in order to share it with your teammates. That is a multi-seat plan. So for individual plans, you're not going to have a sharing option available, at least not yet. So instead of using ChatGPT for everything, I recommend trying projects for specific tasks and the ones you keep coming back to. It will save you a lot of time. Now, I also recently completed an entire course inside of our learning platform, one for ChatGPT and another one for Google Gemini, which I think is getting just as good as ChatGPT, and I've been jumping between the two. So those are available, and it's all part of one bundle subscription. So you get access to those, but also about 30 other courses for one monthly price. And it does have a free trial just to make sure it's a good fit for you and you like our teaching style. And it's not just me. We have 6 different instructors that are experts in different categories that I'm not. So I'll link that in the description, and check out this video where I covered everything ChatGPT could do in a single video.